Ultralearning is an ambitious, self-driven method of learning that empowers individuals to rapidly and effectively learn complex skills. In the following summary, we will introduce you to the fundamental principles of ultralearning and equip you with specific strategies and techniques to succeed in your own ultralearning journey. Metalearning enables big-picture understanding of your field. Metalearning involves looking at the bigger picture and using it to design your optimal learning strategy. Fortunately, there are practical strategies to create a shortcut to metalearning. Create a metalearning map. Break your subject down into 3 categories: concepts, understanding, facts, memorization, and procedures, execution. For instance, improving your tennis serve mainly focuses on perfecting a procedure, while programming involves a mix of these categories. Concentrate your efforts on the most critical categories. Identify challenges. Use your map to pinpoint potential challenges in your learning journey. For instance, if you need to memorize a lot of facts, consider using spaced repetition software, which offers randomized memory tests to enhance memorization. Establish your learning approach. Benchmark your project by researching individuals who have mastered a similar skill. Replicate their methods, acquire necessary resources and materials, and explore online course lists or syllabi to identify essential learning materials. Use mental strategies to prevent distractions and refine your focus. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. However, you don't have to let these distractions derail your journey towards ultralearning. Apply these techniques to help you conquer the challenges of maintaining your focus. Getting started. The initial obstacle is often getting yourself focused in the first place. Trick your mind by setting a timer for a short period, like 3 minutes, and promise that you can stop working when the timer goes off. More often than not, once those 3 minutes pass, you'll have gained the momentum needed to keep going. Pomodoro technique. Take this a step further with the Pomodoro technique to maintain focus and productivity. Set a timer for 20 minutes and work without interruption during that time. When the timer beeps, allow yourself a 5-minute break before resuming work for another 20 minutes. Sustaining focus. Take control of your work environment by eliminating distractions. Put your phone on airplane mode, turn off Wi-Fi, and create a focused workspace. Avoid autopilot. Sometimes, even when you're working, you can slip into autopilot mode, where you're not fully engaged with your task. Counter this by deliberately alternate between materials and modes of learning. Ideally, break your project into short, evenly spaced sessions. For instance, if you have 10 hours a week for programming, aim for 5 2-hour sessions, each focusing on a different aspect like writing code, design project structure, testing, etc. Mental arousal. Pay attention to your mental arousal level, which relates to your energy and alertness. High arousal leads to intense but narrow focus, ideal for repetitive tasks like practicing musical scales. Low arousal fosters a more relaxed and expansive focus, suited for creative thinking and forming connections, crucial for tasks like music composition. Match your arousal level to your task to optimize your ultralearning results. Take the shortest route from theory to practice to skill up smoothly. The most straightforward way to learn something is by doing it. This hands-on approach is often referred to as project-based learning because it uses the skill you're acquiring directly in your target environment, eliminating the need for transfer. One of the most effective forms of project-based learning is immersive learning, where you immerse yourself entirely in the target environment. For instance, a French learner who spends 3 months in Paris is using an immersive learning approach. If immersive learning isn't feasible, consider using the flight simulator method. Replicate the conditions and challenges of your target environment as closely as possible. If spending 3 months in France isn't an option, try a Skype tutorial with a French speaker, for instance. Regardless of what you're learning, the key is to establish a direct connection between your learning context and your target environment. Use drilling to hone your skills to perfection. Elite athletes, piano prodigies, and successful ultralearners share a common practice: drilling to perfect their techniques and maintain a competitive edge. So, how can you strategically incorporate drilling into your learning process for optimal results? First and foremost, avoid starting your project with drilling. Instead, employ the direct then drill approach. Begin with direct practice relevant to your skill, whether it's coding or weaving tapestry. Use this direct practice to identify specific areas where you need improvement through drilling. After drilling, return to direct practice until it becomes necessary to drill again. To make the most of your drilling, target a rate-determining step. In chemistry, the rate-determining step is the one that triggers a chain reaction. In ultralearning, it's the step that unlocks the next level of knowledge or broadens the range of applications. For example, if you understand accounting theory but lack Excel expertise to apply it, learning Excel becomes your rate-determining step, and you should focus your drilling there. If your drills can be isolated from the rest of your project, consider time slicing, where you isolate one step in a more complex process and repeat it until mastery. E.g., in language learning, this could mean drilling vocabulary, pronunciation, or spelling. For more creative or complex projects where isolation is challenging, try the copycat method. Choose a piece of work you admire and closely emulate it. Challenging recall strategies is the best way to retrieve information you've learned. There are two methods to enhance retrieval, but one is significantly more effective than the other. The first method is review, which involves revisiting the materials you've studied. The second is recall, where you try to remember facts and concepts from memory. Surprisingly, recall is far more effective for long-term learning retention, yet most learners tend to favor review strategies. Recall relates to a concept called judgment of learning. Essentially, when we can understand a concept without difficulty, we tend to believe that we've learned it. Rereading something we've already learned reinforces our perception of successful learning. When struggling to recall something in the short term actually increases the likelihood of remembering it in the long term. Experts call this desirable difficulty. The challenge posed by recall is ultimately beneficial because it maximizes our chances of retaining what we've learned. Here are some engaging ways to shift your study sessions towards recall-focused methods. Flashcards and free recall. Test yourself using flashcards or engage in free recall. After a study session, sit down with a blank piece of paper and challenge yourself to write down everything you can remember in as much detail as possible. Question pose method. When reading, avoid taking notes and instead pose questions that require you to recall the answers. For example, instead of writing, "The Battle of Hastings took place in 1066, write, "When did the Battle of Hastings take place?" This forces you to recall the information each time you review your notes. Targeted challenges. Set tasks that test your knowledge in a targeted way, focusing on specific skills and concepts relevant to your ultra-learning project. This approach ensures you don't waste time recalling general aspects of your subject that don't directly apply to your project. Power of feedback for continuous improvement. Seeking feedback on your progress is essential for continuous improvement. However, it's equally important to differentiate between various types of feedback and develop strategies for getting feedback effectively. Feedback categorized into three main categories. Outcome feedback. This type of feedback confirms whether or not you've achieved the desired outcome. For example, if you give a public talk and the audience applauds at the end, that's outcome feedback. While it can be encouraging, it doesn't provide much specific information. Informational feedback. This type of feedback informs you that something is not going as expected. For instance, if audience members walk out during your public talk at a particular point, they are giving you informational feedback. It's valuable for highlighting problem areas and identifying mistakes. Corrective feedback. The most valuable form of feedback is corrective feedback, which not only tells you what you're doing wrong but also provides guidance on how to fix it. For example, if a professional speechwriter in your audience offers feedback on what went well, what didn't, and how you can improve your talk, that's corrective feedback. Prioritize corrective feedback over informational feedback and informational feedback over outcome feedback. To ensure you receive sufficient feedback, adopt the mindset of failing for feedback. In other words, push yourself beyond your comfort zone to the point where you may fail. By doing so, you open yourself up to valuable informational and corrective feedback. Additionally, don't forget to seek meta-feedback, which assesses how well your learning methods are functioning. One simple way to evaluate your methods is by tracking your learning rate. Time yourself as you complete tasks or solve problems. If your learning rate isn't improving over time, take this as negative feedback and revisit your learning methods to make necessary adjustments. Strategically spaced memorization sessions ensure that knowledge really sticks. The choice of memorization system should align with your project's nature and be easy to integrate. Avoid the temptation to stuff everything into one intense memorization session. While this might yield short-term results, it's less effective for long-term retention. Instead, space out your memorization sessions, ideally allocating time a few days per week. Striking the right balance between spacing and regularity is crucial to avoid insufficient results. Consider using a spaced repetition system when memorizing facts or simple concepts. You can use physical flashcards to test your knowledge in a randomized manner or opt for SRS software that optimizes randomization through algorithms. For more complex concepts, spaced repetition remains effective. Here, focus on regularly revisiting key processes rather than mere recall of information. Replace flashcards with a refresher project where you apply your skills regularly. You can even experiment with overlearning, pushing yourself beyond your current skill level. Extending your learning into a higher skill set challenges your abilities and improves the retention of lower-level skills. For procedural projects, the most effective retention method is remember by doing. Repeat a procedure enough times, and your body will begin to automate it. Deep understanding is the surest path to finding your intuitive brilliance. Physicist Richard Feynman was known for his ability to intuitively solve complex problems. His profound understanding of physics allowed him to see unexpected connections and patterns. While developing such intuitive expertise in any subject takes time and patience, you can accelerate the process by employing a few simple strategies. Start with the basics. Feynman was known for asking seemingly simple questions and persistently delving into basic concepts. He understood that it's possible to progress to complex ideas when you have a solid grasp of foundational ones. To become an intuitive expert, you must thoroughly comprehend the fundamental concepts of your field. Embrace the struggle. Challenging learning experiences often lead to a deeper understanding. Resist the temptation to take shortcuts. Opt for the longer and more involved approach when confronted with problem solving. While learning a few classic chess moves might yield short-term improvement, delving into the core of chess strategy will lead to a profound comprehension of the game. Implement a struggle timer. When faced with significant challenges or obstacles, avoid giving up immediately. Instead, introduce a struggle timer and deal with the problem for at least 10 minutes before seeking an easier solution. This perseverance will help you develop resilience and a deeper understanding. Prove core concepts. To deepen your understanding of core concepts, attempt to prove or replicate them on your own. Study the theorems, ideas, and processes formulated by expert practitioners in your field, and then try to prove or replicate them independently. This process helps to comprehend the underlying procedures and thought patterns. Accepting ideas solely because experts endorse them results in shallow understanding. To attain profound knowledge and intuitive expertise, work through these concepts independently. Strategic experimentation lays the groundwork for true innovation. Experimentation is the secret sauce of ultralearning, capable of propelling you from being a skilled practitioner to a genuine innovator. While the idea of experimentation may seem daunting, there are practical techniques to help you get started. Copy then create. Emulate the work of others as a starting point to test your own ideas. For example, if you're learning to cook Korean food, follow a great recipe to understand its processes and concepts thoroughly. Once you're comfortable, start experimenting by adding your own twists and flavors to the process. Impose constraints. Surprisingly, limiting your creativity can actually enhance it. Imposing constraints can shake up your habitual thinking and inspire fresh ideas. For instance, if you're an aspiring artist or poet, try creating a painting using only shades of green or write a poem without using the letter E. These constraints can foster unexpected creativity and innovation. Hybridize your skills. Seek the unexpected by combining different materials, techniques, or skills. Hybridization can lead to remarkable outcomes. By embracing experimentation, you can tap into your inner innovator and push the boundaries of your skills and creativity.